Hey guys, so today your assignment is that you should have gone through the slide deck that is on today's Canvas page, and you're watching my short little video just for me to just kind of reinforce what you are reading about and looking at the videos about. All right, so today we're going to talk about dot plots, also called line plots, frequency tables, histograms. And we're not really going to talk about stem and leaf plots. You will in 7th grade, but that is just another way of organizing data. All right, so the first thing we're going to do, this was on your slide deck. So I'm going to take this information and I'm going to turn it into a line plot. Like I said, also it can be called a dot plot. So the very first thing you want to do is this line down here is going to serve as our number line. So we're going to look up here at these numbers. I want to find the very smallest number and the very largest number. So I see an 11. Maybe you guys see a smaller one than that. And it looks like our data goes all the way up through 20. I hope I didn't miss anything. So the very first thing you want to do is number your number line. So you're not numbering this. This is your data. We're not writing 18, 18, 20. We're going to start from our smallest number and number up through our biggest number without skipping any digits, even if that number isn't represented in our data. This is a number line, so you have to be very consistent on numbering. So I'm going to start down here at 11, 12, 13, 14. And I'm doing this a little quickly, but make sure you, space out your digits pretty evenly. You don't want two really close together and two really far apart. All right, so it doesn't matter if you go above your biggest number or even below your smallest number, as long as your number line has your smallest number and your biggest number. But you want to use most of the number line. I have a lot of empty space over here. That's okay. But I'm doing this kind of quickly. So if I was really wanting to turn this in, I would erase these numbers and either start with a smaller number or probably just space these out a little bit more. So now that I have my number line numbered correctly, now I'm going to start going through these numbers in the order that they're written. I'm not going to go through and try to count up all the number 18s and all the 20s, because you're going to probably skip a number. So I'm going to start with the first number. I'm going to come down here. You can either put a circle like a dot or a dot plot, but I like to use X's. And then I would mark off the digits as I write them. 20s next, 13, 17, 12, 15, 12, 17, 19, 17, and then I have two 18s, a 20, 11, and 19. All right, so the thing you want to make sure you do is you didn't skip a number. So I'm going to count how many numbers I should have. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 digits. So I'm going to make sure I have 16 X's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So by double checking, a way to double check is to count, because if you were supposed to have 16, you only have 15 X's, then that tells you for sure you missed one. All right, so basically this is people's math quiz scores, okay? So basically, what do all of these X's represent? Each X represents a score or a student. So I could ask a couple of different questions from this line graph, the line plot. First thing I could say is how many students are represented on this line plot? Well, we just counted, right? Didn't we say 18, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So every X represents a student or a math quiz score. Now, if you notice, even though there's no 14 or 21 in our data set, since this is a number line, we couldn't skip it, okay? So tomorrow's assignment, you're going to look at a number plot. I mean, I keep saying number plot, a line plot, and you're going to interpret a line plot, but also you're going to create one. All right, so another way of organizing data is you can put that data on a frequency table. And then we're going to take that frequency table and we're going to turn it into a histogram. All right, so we have a magazine has measured the battery life of different brands of portable stereos and CD players. Make a frequency table for the data shown below. Now, this does tell us to use intervals. So intervals are groups of numbers. All right, and once again, you have to be very consistent with your numbering. So I'm looking at these, I'm looking at my data. I notice my smallest number is a 9. Looks like my biggest number is 22. So I want to have several different intervals. I don't want to just have 1 or 2, or I probably don't even want only 3, because I want to make sure I use my data. I create a large histogram. I fill up all the space. So I think I'm going to number by 3s. So that means my first interval is going to be 9, 10, 11. Now the next interval, we want to make sure we don't start with 11, right? We want to start with the next number. So 11, so we're going to start with 12. And like this has 3 digits, I want the next group to have 3 digits. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 3 digits, 18, 19, 20. And then 21, 22, 23. So each of my intervals have 3 digits. It's okay if I have extra space. I don't have to use all of them. I wouldn't really want to make my intervals of just 2 digits unless I have a huge number of data sets, or a data set has a large number of digits in it, and it doesn't. All right, so this is our data right here, our raw data, and then we're going to do tallies. And then in this last column, we're going to do the total in a number, okay? So we're going to do tallies, and these are this is our intervals, or our frequency. All right, so I'm going to come over here. I see a 12, so I'm going to put a little tally right here. I think I spelled that wrong. I think it's Tallies. Yeah, that looks better. All right, the next one is a 9. The next one is a 10. Then I see a 14 right here. A 10 is in this group. And 11. Oh, it's going to be a popular group. A 10. So this is the 5th tally. So when you have 1, 2, 3, 4 in the 5th tally, you always do that long thing just to make it easy to count them. All right, then we have 18 right here. 21 right here. 10, another one up here, 14, and 22. All right, so hopefully I did that right. All right, so how many numbers, how many tally marks is this? So I'm just going to write a 6 here, and then I had 3 total in this interval group. I have 0 there, and just like a number line, even though I don't have any, I have to represent the numbers because it's kind of like a number line. And then I only have 1 tally, and I have 2 tallies. All right, so that's how you make your frequency table. So then I have a couple questions. Are the intervals 8 through 12, 13 through 15, 16 through 19, and 20 through 24 appropriate for the data in example 3? Well, let's see, how many digits are between 8 and 12? And of course, we have to count each of those numbers. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, that's 5 digits. And then 13, 14, 15 is just 3, 16, 17, 18, 19, that's 4 digits. And then this one's 5. So the answer is no, these intervals are not appropriate. And why or why not? They are not consistent. The intervals are not consistent. The same number of digits, consistent, S-I-T-E-N-T. Oh my goodness, you guys, I really do kind of know how to spell. All right, so list a new set of intervals. Okay, which we already done that, right? All right, so I'm going to take that frequency table, and I've already made it, and there it is, kind of reproduced. I just left the tallies off, and I'm going to create a histogram. So one thing you always want to do, and I didn't do it on this one, is you want a title, because when you look at data, you want to know what is this representing, right? So this is battery life. So I'm just going to name my histogram battery life. And maybe I could put hours, how many hours these batteries live for, whatever, or good for. All right, so I'm going to do my intervals down at the bottom. Now, of course, a graph always starts with 0 down here in the corner. Although I don't want to start with 0 because the very lowest number on my in my intervals is a 9. So to be technical, you would make this little like a heartbeat monitor is how I think about it. You don't have to do that, but technically, if you're not going to start on 0 and number appropriately from 0, you would make that little indication. But anyway, if you don't do that, it's okay. It's no big deal. All right, so we're writing our intervals down here. So 9 through 11, and then the next interval is 12 through 14. Once again, we want these about staggered out, about the same distance. 15 through 17. The next group is 18 through 20. And the last group is 21 through 23. Whoops, 23. All right, and this is the number of hours, right? These are how many hours our batteries lasted. And then an okay word, since it's a histogram, one word that will always be appropriate on the the vertical axis would be the word frequency. Now, what you want to do is you want to come over here and you want to find your biggest number. So even though this histogram is going to be representing 9, 10, 11, 12 batteries, we don't want to number through 12 because since our highest number is 6, that means half of our histogram would be empty, right? So we want to fill up this whole space. So we want to make sure our biggest number is way up here at the top, okay? So then you think of how, okay, I gotta space these evenly. So let's say this is 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. I put way too much space up here, didn't I? Let me erase that. I need to put those a little closer together. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I mean, it's not perfect for sure, but it's a little better. All right, so with the histograms, you want to do a big fat bar, and you want your histogram bars to touch each other. You want everything to touch, okay? So even though I have this little thing down here saying I didn't start with 0, technically I could leave a space here. Well, let's just do that. Since I made that little heartbeat symbol, I'll just leave a little space. I want to show that 6 batteries lasted 9 to 11 hours. And then I would, I would use a ruler and I would use color pencils and I would show the next group in a different color. So now I would show that 3 batteries lasted from 12 to 14 hours. And then let's use purple. Purple, oh, never mind. So 15 through 17 is completely empty, right? And then I'm going to show 1 hour. So maybe start here. Go straight across. If I had a ruler, it would be much better, but I don't have one, nor the time to do that. And finally, we have 2, what do we want to use? Blue. So 2 hours. So 2 hours right here. 2 batteries lasted 21 to 23. So there's our little histogram. Looks good. All right, so here is a line plot, a dot plot. So I just wanted to show you some questions. So let's look at the first question. How many babysitters are represented on this line plot? Well, how do we know that? Well, it's the number of dots or X's if that's what we used. So I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 babysitters are represented on this line plot. How many babysitters are paid $5 or less? How many babysitters? $5. Well, 2 are paid $5 and 3 are paid $4. So the total is 5 babysitters are paid $5 or less. All right. So I just wanted to go over a couple of those questions with you. I think that's all I had on that. Sometimes you'll use a dot plot or a line plot, and sometimes you'll use a histogram. So obviously, this one is already put into intervals for us. So we don't really know, like, let's say there were 5 scores between 77 and 85. There's 5 people who scored between that. So do we know how many people made how many exact people made in 80? No, we don't. Do we know how many people made a 79? We do not. So you could not make a line plot out of this data. You could only make a histogram out of this data. All right, now we could take this frequency table over here and we could create a histogram out of it, but the numbers are so small, our intervals would be very small. We wouldn't have very many bars on our histogram. So the best thing to show this data would be a line plot. And the best way to show this data would be a histogram, because that's what uses the intervals, a histogram. All right, so that's it, guys. I just wanted to go over that with you. So let me know if you guys need some help. Make sure you join me during my office hours if you need me, or you can send me a message whenever you want to. All right.